It's strange how sometimes everything shifts in an instant. Not with a bang, not with some dramatic explosion, but with a faint glow from a screen. I wasn't looking for anything that night. Honestly, all I wanted was a glass of water. That's it. Just water. It was almost 10:30. I had just finished cleaning up the kitchen. Well, most of it. Ellie had said she'd be back soon. She was out running errands late, which wasn't completely out of the ordinary, but it was starting to happen more often. I was tired, borderline ready to call it a night, when I walked back into the kitchen and saw it. Her phone, lying face up on the counter, buzzing. Normally, her phone stayed glued to her hand. She even took it with her to the bathroom. I'd barely seen that thing unattended in weeks, maybe months, so it was already weird that it was just sitting there. But what really got me was what flashed on the screen. Just one message. One glowing message, so casual, so quiet, and yet somehow loud enough to make my ears ring. I already miss you. Can't believe you're mine tonight. That's it. No name, no context, just words that felt too soft, too personal. Like something whispered in the dark. Like something sacred. And definitely not meant for me. I didn't touch the phone. I didn't even breathe for a second. Just stood there staring at it like it was radioactive. I remember my hand still gripping the fridge handle, knuckles turning white. I remember the faint hum of the dishwasher, the tap dripping once every few seconds. I remember feeling cold, even though the air in the kitchen was warm. My first instinct wasn't anger. It wasn't even jealousy. It was confusion. The kind of confusion that sinks its claws into your chest and won't let go. I kept thinking, there has to be some explanation. Something dumb. Something innocent. A prank from a friend. A wrong number. Something. Because anything else would mean everything changes. A minute passed. Maybe 2. I must have read that message at least 10 times. Then I heard the front door open. Ellie's voice floated in, cheerful and light. Hey babe. I got the almond milk you like. She walked into the kitchen a second later, plastic grocery bags in each hand, wearing her oversized hoodie and jeans like she always did on errand nights. Hair in a messy bun. No makeup. Just Ellie. For a split second, I almost believed everything was fine. Then she saw me. She saw the phone. Her smile faltered. Barely, but enough. Her eyes went straight to the screen, still lit up on the counter. And in that moment, the air between us shifted. Like the pressure in the room had changed. Like we both knew the script had just been torn up. She set the bags down a little too quickly. Milk rolled slightly inside one of them. Why are you looking at my phone? She asked, tone suddenly sharper than it needed to be. Defensive. Immediate. No hey, no laugh, no what's up. Just a wall going up at full speed. I wasn't looking at your phone, I said slowly. It was just there. It lit up. I tried to sound calm. Tried not to jump to conclusions. But my voice gave me away. It cracked halfway through. She moved to grab the phone. The screen had gone dark again. Must have been an old message, she said quickly. Like really old. From before us. From before us? I repeated, not accusing, just trying to understand. But even as I said it, something in my chest twisted. Yeah. Or it was a joke, she added. Like between friends. You know how I text with people. It was probably just one of my guy friends messing around. Her tone was light again, but it was forced. I could hear the tremble underneath. Then she shifted gears. Fast. Seriously though, Mark? Why are you reading my texts? She said, this time louder. Sharper. You don't get to just stand there judging me over something you don't even understand. I didn't read anything, I said. It was one message. It was on the screen. I didn't touch your phone. Oh, so now I'm not allowed to have private conversations? She snapped. Wow, okay. That's really healthy. And just like that, the roles flipped. Suddenly I was the bad guy. Suddenly this was about me, my trust issues, my controlling behavior. Not about the message. Not about what it meant. She walked over to the fridge, yanked it open hard enough to make the condiments in the door rattle, pulled out something random, and slammed it shut again. I can't believe this, she muttered. turning and walking out of the room like I had just accused her of something unforgivable. She left the bags half unpacked on the counter. I stood there like an idiot, still gripping the edge of the sink. My heart was pounding. Not fast, but heavy. Like every beat was an anchor dragging me under. I didn't follow her. Didn't try to argue. The house went quiet again. Not peaceful quiet. Tense quiet. The kind that builds behind your eyes and makes your ears ring. I stood there for a long time, trying to reason my way out of what I'd seen. Tried to tell myself it was nothing. That I was overthinking. That she was right. It was just a message from a friend, or something stupid and meaningless. But the way she reacted, that wasn't nothing. And it wasn't meaningless. I thought about how, lately, things had felt off. Subtly. Barely noticeable until suddenly it all stacked up. Her distance. The quick explanations. The changed routines. The locked phone. I had chalked it up to work stress, or needing more space, or whatever else couples tell themselves when they're trying not to rock the boat. I told myself not to snoop, not to be that guy. But I didn't have to snoop. The truth had lit itself up, plain as day, right there on the counter. And she couldn't explain it. No, she didn't even try. She deflected, minimized, blamed. Not once did she say, "I'm sorry." Not once did she say, "Let me explain." She just shut the door and walked away. I eventually moved to the living room, sat on the couch in the dark, TV off, lights off, staring into nothing. I could hear her upstairs, pacing, doors opening, closing, a drawer slamming shut, then nothing. I checked the time. 11:17 p.m. I stayed up for another hour, then another, just sitting there. At some point, the silence became too loud. The kind that presses into your chest until you feel like you can't breathe. And that's when it hit me. This wasn't the first red flag. It was just the first one I couldn't ignore. That night, I barely slept. I laid on the couch, staring at the ceiling, listening to the house breathe in a way I'd never noticed before. Creaks in the walls, the fridge cycling, the heater clicking on and off. Every sound felt sharp, unnatural. Like the house itself was holding its breath along with me. I kept replaying the kitchen moment over and over. The message, her face, her reaction, trying to splice it apart in my mind like a crime scene. Like if I rewound it just right, I'd find something redeemable, a piece of evidence I'd missed, something that could explain it all. But every time I landed in the same place. It wasn't the message that haunted me the most. It was the way she looked at me after she saw I'd seen it. Not panicked, not remorseful, but angry. Like I had done something wrong. Like I was the one invading, trespassing, betraying. I tried to let it go. Told myself I needed sleep. Told myself not to jump to conclusions. But my brain didn't care. And by morning, something had shifted. I sat out on the porch with a cup of coffee, watching the early light stretch across the yard. And for the first time in months, maybe longer, I gave myself permission to really think about everything. Not just that text. Everything. And once I did, it was like a dam broke. Her habits, all the things I had brushed off as quirks or stress or just life, they all started falling into place like puzzle pieces that had been waiting for me to wake up. Like how she'd started going straight to the shower when she got home from work. No kiss. No, how was your day? Just a quick wave, sometimes a half smile, and then straight to the bathroom. She said she was trying to decompress. I believed her. Who was I to question someone needing a little space? Then there was her phone. How it used to sit face up on the table, buzzing harmlessly with random notifications, and now it was always face down. Or in her pocket. Or in her purse. And how her password suddenly changed without warning. When I asked, she said she'd been getting spammed and had to switch things up. Totally normal, right? She stopped sharing shows with me. We used to binge stuff together, even dumb reality TV. But now she watched things alone. I'd walk in and hear her slam the laptop shut like a teenager hiding something. She'd smile and say, "Just rewatching something you wouldn't like." Okay, sure. And those girls' nights. First, they felt like a good thing. I wanted her to have time with her friends. I trusted her. I encouraged it. But slowly, they stopped making sense. No photos. No funny stories. No hangover the next day, even after she said they went hard. And whenever I asked how it went, she'd shrug and say, "It was chill." One night, I jokingly said, "Tell Rachel I said hi." And she replied, "Rachel wasn't there." Then she walked away before I could ask who was. I noticed new clothes. Nothing too out there, just little upgrades. Nicer jeans. Tops that were more fitted. Lingerie I hadn't seen before. I complimented her once, and she said, "It was on sale." Expensive makeup started showing up in the bathroom. Even though we'd agreed to cut back on spending after some bills piled up, I didn't push it. What kind of guy tells his girlfriend not to buy mascara? She also stopped wearing the necklace I gave her last Christmas. A small silver one with her initials and mine. She said it was getting tarnished and she didn't want to ruin it. But it sat in the drawer untouched for months. And the perfume, that's what really got me. She started wearing this scent. Subtle but different. It wasn't the one I bought her. It wasn't even the kind she normally liked. And it was only ever on her when she came home late. I asked once, and she told me I was imagining it. I wasn't. Then there were the little things that didn't make sense but didn't seem worth fighting over. Like the dirt on the floor of her car, even though she said she hadn't left town. Or the random receipts from gas stations in cities we had no reason to be near. She claimed she stopped for snacks during traffic. I wanted to believe her, so I did. I convinced myself that every strange thing had an explanation. Because that's what you do when you love someone. You assume the best. You give them the benefit of the doubt even when it hurts. And it did hurt. Not all at once, but slowly, quietly, like a leak under the floorboards that rots everything before you even notice the smell. I used to joke that we were just going through a phase. That once things calmed down, her job, the bills, the pressure, we'd reconnect. Go on a trip. Breathe again. Find our rhythm. But now I saw it for what it really was. It wasn't burnout. It wasn't stress. It wasn't distance. It was someone else. The message on her phone didn't create the problem. It revealed it. It forced my eyes open. It made me realize how long I'd been ignoring the signs, rationalizing her changes, covering for her to myself. I was doing mental gymnastics to avoid the one conclusion I didn't want to face. And now that I saw it, I couldn't unsee it. I sat on that porch for over an hour, just watching the wind move through the trees. Our neighbor's dog barked a few times. Someone down the street started a lawnmower. Normal life stuff. Meanwhile, my world felt like it had tipped sideways. Ellie came downstairs eventually, said good morning like nothing had happened. She asked if I wanted eggs. I said no. She didn't bring up the night before. Not the text. Not the argument. Nothing. Like it had been erased. I watched her move around the kitchen, humming some song under her breath. Still wearing her old college hoodie. Hair messy. Barefoot. And all I could think was, how long has she been lying to me like this? How long has she been coming home to me while giving pieces of herself to someone else? And worse, how long have I been pretending not to know? That afternoon, I went into our bedroom while she was out. Not to snoop, not really, but to look. To see what I'd been blind to. I opened drawers. Looked through the closet. Just trying to understand. There were things missing. A pair of earrings I knew she loved. A scarf I hadn't seen in months. A little red travel bag that she used for overnights. Gone. On her nightstand, there was a crumpled receipt from a gas station in a town 40 miles away. The date was from last week. She told me she'd been working late that day. I took a picture of it. I don't know why. I sat on the edge of the bed and stared at the floor. Tried to remember what it felt like when I used to trust her completely. When coming home felt like coming home. Not stepping into a fog of doubt and silence. I thought about the version of Ellie I fell in love with. The one who laughed too loud at sitcoms. Who sang off-key in the car. Who used to steal my fries and pretend she didn't. I thought about how I still loved her, or maybe just loved who I thought she was. And I realized something else. Something even harder. I wasn't angry. Not yet. I was heartbroken, yes. Betrayed, probably. But mostly I just felt tired. So damn tired of trying to hold together something that only one of us was still fighting for. That night, she came home late again. Said traffic was bad. She kissed me on the cheek like everything was normal. Her perfume lingered in the air, the same unfamiliar scent. She went upstairs, took another shower, and I sat there on the couch, phone in my hand, receipt still in my pocket. I didn't say anything. I didn't confront her. Not yet. Because now I was done explaining things away. Now I was watching, listening, connecting the dots. Because all her habits, every single one, were no longer innocent on their own. They had formed one big, undeniable answer. And I finally understood the question. 2 days passed. 2 long, slow-burning days where everything felt like it was held together by tape and silence. Ellie was pretending again. Acting like everything was fine. Like that message I saw didn't happen. Like the tension in the room was just a trick of the light. She smiled more than usual, joked about the news, asked if I wanted to try that new place downtown. I went along with it. I smiled, nodded, made dinner, took the trash out, played my part. But behind my eyes, something had changed. I wasn't questioning anymore. I was waiting. And then the photos came. It was Thursday afternoon. She had left that morning for what she called a girls' retreat. Something she mentioned offhandedly the night before while brushing her teeth. Like it was no big deal. Said it was just her and a few coworkers renting a cabin to unplug. I didn't even ask questions. I just nodded. Won't be reachable, she added. Spotty reception. Just so you know. Right. That afternoon, I was working from home, sitting at the kitchen table, laptop open, half-heartedly typing through a report that didn't matter anymore. My phone buzzed, a random number, no contact photo. I almost ignored it. Then it buzzed again, and again. No text, just images. For photos, no words, no caption, just pictures. The first one hit like a punch to the chest. Ellie, in a bar, her arm around some guy I'd never seen before. Tall, lean beard, button-down shirt. His hand was on her waist, not casually. And asterisk mately, like someone who knew her well. The second photo, them dancing. Her head tilted against his shoulder, eyes closed. His mouth near her ear. They looked like they were in their own world. The third was in a hotel room. Dim lighting. She was wearing an oversized white shirt. Definitely not hers. I knew all her clothes. That one wasn't even close. And the fourth, that one broke something in me. She was lying on his chest, on the bed, eyes closed, face soft, like she hadn't had a worry in the world. His hand was resting gently on her back, her leg thrown over his. They looked happy, comfortable, like this wasn't new. I didn't scream. I didn't cry. I didn't even breathe, I think, for a solid minute. I just stared at the images, one after the other, again and again, trying to find any angle, any piece of context that could explain them away. There was none. At the top of each photo was a timestamp from that morning. The same morning she left for the retreat. The location tag? A hotel 2 hours away. Not a cabin. Not off-grid. A hotel. I felt my entire body sink into the chair. My hands were trembling not from rage, but from the clarity. This wasn't a mistake. This wasn't a phase. This was a relationship. A second life right under my nose. I don't know how long I sat there. I didn't move. The room was dead silent, except for the occasional clink of my spoon in a half-eaten bowl of cereal. At some point, I put the phone down. Not because I was done with it, but because I couldn't take looking at her like that anymore. I got up, walked to the sink, turned on the faucet just to hear something. The thoughts didn't come all at once. They came in waves. This is real. She's with someone else. She's been lying for months. And then the quieter ones. What did I miss? Was there something I could have done differently? Did I make it too easy to betray me? Too safe to lie to? I shut that voice down quickly. No, this wasn't on me. This was a choice, her choice. I remembered all the times I asked if she was okay. All the times I offered to talk, to plan something, to reconnect. She always said, "I'm just tired," or "I need space," or "Don't worry, I'm fine." And all the while, She was in someone else's arms, wearing someone else's shirt, sleeping in someone else's bed. The betrayal wasn't just physical, it was layered. It was in her voice when she said, "I love you," before heading out the door. It was in the way she laughed at my jokes at dinner while texting someone else under the table. It was in the silence she left behind every night she worked late. I sat back down and looked at the photos again. I studied the guy this time. I didn't recognize him. Not a coworker I'd met. Not someone from our circle. Complete stranger. But the way he held her, he wasn't new to her. That's what stung the most. He didn't look like someone trying to impress her. He looked like someone who already had. I didn't respond to the message. Whoever sent it knew what they were doing. They didn't need to say anything. The pictures spoke for themselves. Later that night, I sat in our bedroom, and stared at the empty side of the bed. Her books were there. Her pillow. Her folded sweater on the chair. Her charger plugged in. And all I could think was, she's probably doing the same thing in a different room with a different man, pretending this life doesn't even exist. And maybe, just maybe, she wasn't pretending. Maybe I was the pretend one now. The backup. The one she came home to when it was convenient. The version of her life she used to feel stable and safe, while the real version unfolded 2 hours away in a hotel room with someone new. That night, I didn't sleep in the bed. Couldn't. I lay on the floor, back against the closet, photos burned into my mind, and just sat in the dark. No tears. No rage. Just this cold, hollow understanding that everything I thought was solid was actually hollow. A shell. The next morning, I went through our house like I was seeing it for the first time. The kitchen table we bought together. The Polaroids on the fridge. The stupid inside jokes written on Post-its near the coffee machine. I didn't throw anything out. I just stood there, letting the weight of it settle. She texted me that afternoon. No service last night. Just wanted to check in. Love you. Smiley face. The smiley face nearly made me laugh. I didn't reply. I just stared at the words, picturing her sending that text from the hotel bed. Her hair messy from sleep, his arms still probably wrapped around her. I wondered if he saw the message. I wondered if he laughed. I didn't ask. I didn't confront her. Not yet, because now I knew. And knowing changed everything. There was no more maybe. No more excuses. No more hoping I was wrong. The pictures left no room for denial. Only decisions. And I was getting ready to make mine. She came back Sunday night, suitcase in hand, makeup smudged like she'd napped the whole drive. She walked in like nothing had happened. "Hey babe," she said, voice light, dropping her bag by the stairs. That drive was brutal. She kissed me on the cheek. I didn't move. She didn't notice. Or maybe she pretended not to. I helped her bring in the rest of her things, not because I wanted to, but because I wanted her to believe I was still buying the story. She went on about how remote the cabin was. No signal, barely any Wi-Fi. Honestly, kind of nice to unplug. She laughed, opened the fridge, frowned like she was disappointed I hadn't gone grocery shopping while she was out lying to me. I nodded, said yeah, and let her keep talking. The more she believed I was still asleep, the more freely she spoke. But inside I was done. And I think deep down she knew. I didn't confront her that night. Not even when she climbed into bed and curled against me like she hadn't just spent the weekend wrapped around someone else. She fell asleep fast, her breathing steady, peaceful. I stayed awake until the sun came up, staring at the ceiling, wondering how long someone could lie to your face and still say they love you. The next day, I told her that her friend Taylor invited us to her birthday thing on Friday. A club downtown. She looked surprised but said, "Sure, sounds fun." I nodded, said nothing more. She didn't know Taylor never invited us. I had reached out and asked her for a favor. Told her I needed a way to watch Ellie in public, in a setting where she couldn't control the narrative. Taylor, bless her, didn't ask questions. Just said, "I've got you." Friday came fast. Ellie spent a ridiculous amount of time getting ready. Way more than usual. She tried on 3 different outfits before landing on a tight black dress she hadn't worn in over a year. One that always turned heads. Hair curled. Heels taller than usual. lipstick a shade darker than I remembered. "You like it?" she asked, twirling in front of the mirror. "You look beautiful," I said, and she did. We got to the club around 9:30. Loud music, too many people, strobe lights slicing through the dark. She looked energized, already moving to the beat before we even got drinks. I stayed close at first, watching her, pretending to enjoy myself. She kept checking her phone when she thought I wasn't looking. I caught her texting once, thumb moving fast, then screen locked and tucked back into her purse. Around 10:15, she pulled me onto the dance floor. I didn't resist. Not yet. Bodies moved around us, the bass heavy in my chest. She leaned in close, wrapped her arms around my neck. It was the first time in weeks she touched me like she used to. For a second, I felt that flicker of something, memory maybe, before it was drowned in noise. And then she said it, right into my ear over the music. "I'm tired of only you." She said it like a confession, but also like a dare. I want someone else. It wasn't whispered. It wasn't timid. It was loud, defiant, clear. She said it like she wanted me to hear it, like she needed me to hear it, like this was the real message, and the rest, the silence, the denials, the fake smiles were just filler. My arms dropped from her waist. I stepped back. She kept dancing like nothing happened. Spun in a slow circle, hands in her hair, eyes closed. I walked off the floor without saying a word. She didn't follow. I stood by the bar for a while, watching her from a distance. She kept dancing, laughing, flipping her hair over her shoulder. She looked free, like someone who had let go of the weight of pretending. For a second, I wondered if maybe I should have done this sooner. Just stepped aside and let her show me who she really was. We left around midnight. The ride home was quiet. She said something about how fun it was. I didn't respond. When we got inside, she went straight to the bedroom, still humming a song from the club under her breath. I sat on the couch again. Same spot as always, lights off. A few minutes later, she came back out, barefoot, mascara a little smudged. Her voice was softer now. "Are you mad at me?" I looked at her for a long time before answering. "No," I said, because I wasn't. Not anymore. I wasn't confused or jealous or trying to put the pieces together. The puzzle was finished. She watched me for a few seconds like she wanted to keep talking, then turned and went back upstairs. I didn't move, didn't follow, didn't ask questions. In the morning, she came down late, hair a mess, hoodie pulled tight around her. She looked tired, and not the kind of tired you cure with sleep. She sat at the table across from me with a mug of coffee, hands wrapped around it like a shield. When she finally spoke, her voice cracked. "I think I need time to figure things out." I nodded, and that was it. No anger, no shouting, no dramatic ultimatums. Just a quiet mutual understanding that whatever this was, whatever we had been pretending to hold together, it was already gone. She left that afternoon, said she needed space, that she'd be back in a few days, said she didn't want to fight. I told her I wasn't going to. When she closed the door behind her, I didn't feel relief or pain. I felt clarity, because now I wasn't just guessing. Now I knew. The woman I loved wasn't coming back through that door. And the one who had taken her place? She'd already told me the truth. Right there on the dance floor. She was gone for 4 days. No messages. No calls. No questions about bills, the dog, the car, or anything else people in a shared life normally ask about. And honestly, I didn't miss her. I missed what we used to be, the person I thought she was. But not this version of her, the one who could say what she said to me on the dance floor and sleep just fine after. The first day was quiet. The second felt like a fog. By the third, I stopped watching the clock. And on the fourth, I started packing. Not because I was planning to leave, but because I wanted to see how much of her life she had already removed from this house. From our life. Drawers were thinner than they should have been. Half of her closet was empty. Her favorite books were gone. The framed picture from our trip to Big Sur, the one we'd kept on the nightstand for years, gone too. That's when I realized she hadn't just been having an affair. She had been preparing. And I had no idea what she was preparing for, until I found the laptop. It wasn't her main one. That one stayed with her like a lifeline even to the bathroom. This one was older, the silver MacBook she used back when she worked freelance. I found it tucked away in the upstairs linen cabinet, behind a stack of unused blankets. I hesitated. I wasn't trying to be that guy, the one who digs, the one who snoops. But after everything that had happened, I wasn't going to ignore a laptop shoved into the back of a closet. It was password protected. I almost gave up. Then I remembered her old pattern, her grandmother's birthday, followed by the initials of her college. Dumb luck or maybe muscle memory, but it worked. And what I found inside made everything before it, the photos, the text, the dance floor, feel like a distraction. Because the affair wasn't the main betrayal. It was the cover. There was a folder on the desktop labeled Evidence Project. I clicked it open. Inside, subfolders titled Audio, Messages, *TS, and one simply labeled Legal. The audio files were short clips, fragments of our arguments. But they weren't raw. They were edited, cropped, stripped of context. One had me raising my voice, frustrated after a week of cleaning up after her, working overtime trying to fix the water heater. But the beginning where I asked for help was gone. All that remained was my voice, sharp and impatient. Another was from the night I found the message on her phone. The part where she snapped at me? Gone. The clip made it sound like I'd picked a fight out of nowhere. The *TS were even worse. Some were texts she'd written to herself, labeling me as controlling, paranoid. Others were doctored, using some app, I guessed. Messages that made it look like I was threatening her, even though I never said those words. I scrolled through them in a daze, my stomach churning. Then came the documents. A draft police complaint, timestamped 2 weeks ago. A template for a restraining order. An outline for a statement, describing our relationship as increasingly volatile and emotionally unsafe. And then the worst one. A message thread with someone saved as L. At first, I thought it was just a friend. Then I realized it was a lawyer. The messages were calm, clinical, cold. What's the timeline for filing? Can we ensure I retain primary access to the property? I want to make sure he doesn't flip the narrative before I do. One message chilled me. I'll file first. I've got the messages, and if needed, I can imply physical *medation. She ended that one with a smiley face. A smiley face. I sat back in the chair, suddenly aware of how fast my heart was beating. My hands were sweating. I felt like I was underwater, like the walls were too close. This wasn't about cheating. This wasn't a broken relationship. This was a setup. She wasn't leaving me for someone else. She was staging an exit, one where I'd be painted as the villain, the unstable one, the abuser. She was collecting data to make me look dangerous, unfit, unsafe. And if I hadn't found this, she would have succeeded. I saw it all clear as glass now. The weird questions she'd asked about whether I'd ever blacked out with anger. The time she'd baited me into arguments, then recorded them, claiming it was for her safety. The way she stopped inviting friends over, telling them I didn't like company. She had been rewriting the story behind my back. And I had no idea. I clicked through everything again, this time slower. There were emails to a private rental agent. Plans for a separate apartment under a different name. Notes about opening a new checking account. One message to the lawyer even included the phrase, "I need to control the narrative before he does. He's too calm. It'll make me look like the liar." That's what she said. Too calm. It was the most surreal moment of my life. Realizing that the woman I had loved, the one I had sacrificed for, defended, believed in, had been documenting our life like a crime scene she intended to walk away from while setting me on fire behind her. And worse, I almost believed her. If I hadn't seen it with my own eyes, I might have walked into her trap, said something stupid, gotten angry, slammed a door, given her the exact ammunition she needed to finish the story she was writing. I closed the laptop. For a long time, I just sat there, still, numb. Then I stood up. Something in me had clicked. I wasn't sad anymore. I wasn't confused. I wasn't even hurt. I was awake. This wasn't just betrayal. It was war, and I had been walking around without armor. I wasn't going to let her finish this story on her terms, and I wasn't going to give her the ending she wanted. From that moment on, everything changed. I began collecting calmly, methodically. I took **TS of everything I found, recorded my own notes, saved voice memos explaining where I found the files, what I saw, what it all meant. I made copies of her evidence project, stored them in 3 places. One on a USB drive I kept in the garage, another in a locked folder on my cloud account, and a third burned onto a disk I mailed to my brother, just in case anything happened to my tech. I wasn't paranoid anymore. I was prepared. By the time she walked back into the house the next evening, suitcase in hand, smile practiced and smooth, I was ready. She kissed me like nothing had changed. "Missed you," she said. I smiled. "Me too," I replied. And I meant it, not because I missed her, but because I had missed the feeling of knowing where I stood. And now I did. She wasn't just unfaithful. She was dangerous. And now that I knew, I wasn't going to wait for her next move. I was going to make mine first. I didn't explode, didn't even flinch. Just gathered everything, the messages, voice clips, fake **TS, her chat with the lawyer. I organized them into neat folders, uploaded backups, sent one to my brother, another to a lawyer I trusted. Then I tracked down his wife, the guy from the hotel. Her name was Sarah. I sent her the photos and the retreat details. No note, no explanation. Within minutes, Ellie's phone lit up like a Christmas tree. She paced the living room, whispering, shaking, unraveling. When she asked why I was packing, I said nothing. Her face twisted like she wanted to yell, to fight. But she knew. She had nothing left to use. And for the first time, I wasn't playing defense. That night, she left again. Slammed the door like it was her decision. But when she returned, the lights were on and a folder sat on the table. Lies. Infidelity. Setup. I looked at her and said calmly, "I'm done defending myself. I'm acting now." The next morning, she tried to talk. Eyes red, voice trembling. But I was already gone. House empty. Phone off. No goodbye. Just a note on the counter. "You chose the moment. I chose the silence."